So today we are continuing with what we learned yesterday about corresponding angles and alternate interior angles. There's just one new word today. It's congruent. I'll show you what that means in a little bit, but you're still dealing with the other kind of angles that you had yesterday. I'm going to show you how to do that by doing 3 problems in digits. Okay, so we've got a picture. It looks a lot like it did yesterday. You've got 2 lines. They are labeled M and N. I'll underline them there so you can see them. So 2 lines that are M and N, and then there's a transversal that's cutting them into angles. And what's new today is you're deciding whether the 2 lines that are given, that are being cut, are they parallel or not? And the way you figure that out is you look at either the corresponding angles or the alternate interior angles like yesterday and see if they're congruent. That's your new word today. Congruent means that they have equal measurements. So if you look at this picture, there's a 118 and a 118. Guess what? Those are the same numbers. They are congruent. I'm just going to check to see what kind of angles they are because the description says something else. If you look at M, 118 is on the top of it. If you look at N, 118 is also on the top of it. And they're both on the right side of that transversal. So they're in the same spot, which means they're corresponding. So because they are congruent, meaning they have the same exact number there as the measurement, you would pick yes. A says yes because they're congruent. B says yes because they're supplementary. Well, I haven't even taught you that word, but if you remember from either last year or 6th grade, supplementary means they add up to be 180. And that definitely does not add up to be 180. So there's your answer. Yes, they are parallel because they're congruent and they're corresponding, meaning they're the exact same measurement. Similar to the one we just did, but you'll notice this time that there's not another number there. There's a 76 and then there's an X. So exact same thing as the last problem. If you look, those are both corresponding. X is on the top of P, 76 is on the top of Q, and in order for them to be parallel, they must be the same number. So therefore, as someone just put into the chat, X must be 76. This is what the majority of your assignment looks like. Your last problem, though, is a little bit more complicated, so that's the one I'm going to end with. And let me make this a little bit bigger. So here's this picture. That looks a lot more crazy. You've got every single angle labeled, but most of them just say like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Those aren't actual measurements. That's just the name of the angle. But you do have 2 of them there, the 81 and the 2x plus 55. Those are actually labeled for you. That aren't just names. They are the actual measurements. So we're talking about here and here. And if you look over to the left a little bit, the directions say alternate interior angles. So hopefully you remember that from yesterday. They're inside of those lines, M and N, and they're diagonally across from each other. So if we have said that they need to be equal to each other, then that means here in the answer choices, you want to pick something where they're equal to each other. So again, it was 2x plus 55 and 81. Well, the only one that says 2x plus 55 and 81 is D. That part should be really easy for you because the other things don't match what's there in the picture. And then to finish up, it's going to ask you to figure out what X has to be. So they don't want you to leave it like this. They want you to figure out what does X have to be for that whole entire angle to equal 81. So that's just a simple equation. I'm going to write it right here. You've been doing these since 6th grade, I believe, solving for equations. Remember that we want to get rid of everything around your variables. So I don't want the 2 and I don't want the 55. So I'll start by getting rid of 55 by subtracting 55. Of course, you can use a calculator when you're doing this on your own. So that would leave me with just 2x on the left and on the right, I don't know, 81 minus 60 would be 21, plus 5 is 26. So 81 minus 55 is 26. And then I finish by dividing each side by 2 to get a final answer of 13.